displays. All right, well, finally got that working. Sorry about that. We had a few technical issues that we were trying to fix as we were getting going here. And I guess we'll just start off saying good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Lutz with the National Weather Service office in Gaylord, Michigan. And we wanted to do a quick update here with what was going on with this storm. We're getting lots of questions on Facebook, so we thought we'd try to answer a few of the general ones on here. We can try to answer your more specific questions online as well, but we will try to get these things, try to at least answer some of the things going on around here. So to begin with, as we go through into the presentation, and make sure to get this going, I wanted to start off with a quick look at the radar. If you're not quite sure what this all entails, a lot of this are the radar echoes. So the storm which we are tracking is down in Iowa roughly, or Nebraska there. And there's a nice warm front that kind of like stretches up across the lower peninsula of Michigan. The precipitation is that we are expecting to cause problems is this stuff that's starting to break out here in Wisconsin. And this is what we will need to keep an eye on overnight. So we don't expect any of the major precipitation to really start breaking out till after midnight sometime. In fact, as we start to get into the next slide here, you can kind of see as this system moves by 1 a.m. To about eastern Kansas, western Missouri. You can see the warm front stretches up through southern lower Michigan, and then this orange is where ice is likely. So what we're expecting is all this warm air, and that's what the warm front kind of denotes, at the surface is going to be down along that route. But all that warm air, you can think of this as kind of a dam, and all the warm air is just spilling over the top, going right up over Michigan. And so it is deep enough when it gets over our area that it melts all the snow into liquid droplets, and then there's so much cold air coming down out of this high pressure to the north that it is able to refreeze it into ice pellets or make it cold enough for the freezing rain. So this is the battleground area. This is the area we have the most concern with, especially down around the M72 where we're expecting much more freezing rain, and we'll get to that in a bit. And then over areas like M32, which cuts from Alpena over to Charlevoix through Gaylord, we're looking at a pretty significant amount of sleet. We were kind of going through and figuring out what is the proper conversion for the amount of liquid that we would be seeing, which is roughly a half an inch of liquid is what we're expecting to come out of the clouds. And how much of that would turn it into what kind of a sleet accumulation would we get? And we're looking at somewhere around 1.5 to 2 inches ish, something like that. So it's problematic because if you're familiar with what happened in April of 2018 when we had that dump, and that was about a 3 or 4 inch dump of sleet. And I'll have to say, I've never seen that in my meteorological career, and I've been around for about 30 years now, and 25 of it almost here in northern Michigan, that I've never seen that happen other than that one time. So to have something like this occur where the warm front sets up just at the right spot that we could get into sleet for an extended period of time is quite an interesting meteorological feat. North of that, then there's going to be some snow, and that's maybe just barely what we would call advisory level, especially over a 24-hour period. So they're not looking at a whole lot of snow, especially as the UP is concerned. We just saw that our snow observer up at Sault Ste. Marie has 31 inches of snow on the ground. So having 3-4 inches in the next 24 hours for them is not a big deal. So down here, though, that we don't get a whole lot of ice storms. especially when we're looking at the amount of ice that we're looking at, which is over a quarter inch. That's one of our concerns. I kind of give you an idea then by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, that low is going to be just only into northern Missouri, and that warm front is still going to be just kind of hanging there in southern lower Michigan, just able to keep all that warm air aloft just over top of us, and all that cold air still coming down out of Canada right along the surface. That's going to really keep on that freezing rain and sleet potential over the area. So what does that mean for us? So to give you the what we've considered the most impactful portion of it, and that's the ice accumulation, we're looking at for tonight, and this will be after midnight as this goes through. I mean, I know the forecast says 7 to 7, but that's a time frame. That's not necessarily when it's going to start. It'll what we're seeing right now, this light snow that's breaking out, is not part of it. It's that stuff that's developing over in Wisconsin, and it's that warm air that's coming up with this out of the south that we're watching. And this is what we're expecting by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So sometime after midnight, we should start seeing light rain or drizzle, which in this very cold air mass right now, we're looking at temperatures in the teens here in Gaylord and temperatures in the 20s down by Grayling and Traverse City and areas south towards Houghton Lake. Everything is below freezing down all in that area. So we're looking at a tenth to maybe a quarter inch, but more likely down closer to the 10th mark for that 6-hour period from about midnight till 6 or 7 a.m. Then for tomorrow, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we do expect most of this time period to have precipitation. There could just be a few on and off periods, but enough that we're going to see a fair amount. And we could start getting accumulations, especially on flat surfaces, of up to or over a quarter inch. And that is what's considered an ice storm warning in the Weather Service definitions. Anything below a quarter inch is usually considered an advisory, and we have those things out as well. So that's what we have to watch for. As we said, the mix of accumulating snow, sleet, and freezing rain is expected starting tonight into Wednesday morning. The 2 rounds of heavier precipitation, one comes in tonight and pretty late after midnight right now. And then again, it says Tuesday night. It's more like Tuesday afternoon now, looking at some of the computer model runs that have come in. The best chance for storm snow totals in the UP is probably closer to like 6 inches-ish over the 36-hour period when we're looking at all this. And of course, the ice is expected to be mainly south of M72, and M72 runs right around here at about Harrisville and across to about Grayling and into Traverse City and then up here into southern Leelanau County. So that's out here by Empire. So that area is the one that we feel is the most impacted. The second most area, and we were talking about the sleet, that's this area here, right along M32, which runs Alpena to Gaylord, to runs up here to and dead ends up here south of Charlevoix near East Jordan. And that is a problem area as well because of the fact that with the sleet, as I was getting to before, it's kind of like tiny ball bearings, and so it's difficult to just remove. I just remember from the April 2018 storm that every time you got to a intersection that there was always piles of sleet. I mean, they tried to move it out of the way, but it just kept getting piled into the intersection. So it made things a little bit more difficult for us to drive through at that point. But so those would be something to watch for there. Then, of course, the last thing that's impactful, which is probably the least of the three, just because the amount right now is not a big deal, it would be the snow. And we'll take a look at that on this graphic, where we're looking at 2 to 4 maybe tonight, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 in the Upper Peninsula, 1 to 2 here in north of Gaylord, up closer to like M68-ish, which runs roughly from Petoskey over here to somewhere around Rogers City-ish area. So that's the areas that we're watching for. We think that's the big battleground, though, is going to be that middle section here, right around M32, with the sleet and freezing rain, and then obviously the freezing rain to the south. So just to give you an idea, then we've got advisories for snow in Chippewa and Mackinac counties, and then and a little bit up here to the north. But this advisory up here takes into the account that we've got sleet, freezing rain, and snow for that M32 corridor. Then the M72 corridor down to M55, which is Manistee, Houghton Lake, Cadillac, over to Tawas City. That area is under an ice storm warning. I saw online that one of the TV stations had looked back in the past to see the last time we issued one of them, and it's just over 1,100 days ago. So you're looking at 4 years ago-ish that we issued an ice storm warning. It was probably for that. That would make sense. It'd be the April 2018 event when we had the sleet, but we also had freezing rain during that time as well. So that's it. And then we have advisories for Gladwin and Aranac County, as there is expected to be some ice, but there's going to be more rain that expected along there. So it's going to be back and forth between rain and freezing rain in this area. So there's at least enough of a threat for an advisory down there. So maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice, or slightly more, but not enough to warrant the ice storm warning. So with that, I think we're pretty much done here. I haven't been able to keep track of any of the comments. Let's see here if I can see them. And let's see if I can pop out the module and see how good Facebook is going to treat me. Let's see here. Okay. So Sheboygan County, I see that, like I said, you're probably going to be mainly in the snow area. The southern end could end up in that sleet area as well, and maybe a little bit of freezing rain. Winds are not expected to be strong. There's like 10 to 20 with gusts to 30 is what we're looking at right now. The ice expected in the Petoskey area should be not a lot. We'll put it that way. If you looked at the maps while I was doing this, the ice potential decreases the farther north you go. So as you get up there closer to M68, the less likely you're going to see any of that. You might get some of the sleet mixed in there, and it might go back and forth between sleet and snow. But again, like I said, the amount of snow that we're expecting up in that area is not very much either. Lowell, I don't know what to tell you about Lowell. That's down by Grand Rapids, and the Grand Rapids office has their jurisdiction. My guess is because you're going to be solidly in rain down there, so that's what's going on. Let's see here. Sault Ste. Marie, at most, you guys over the 24 to 36 hour period might get 6 to 8 inches of snow, but it's going to be like a 1 to 3 sort of idea for the next 12 to 36 hours. So, you're looking at not a lot of snow. It's for this time of year. It's not anything that you haven't dealt with before. Let's see, Gladwin, you're going to get some ice. You're going to get some just regular rain as well. So that's the thing to do. Manistee is in the same boat, although you're into the ice. You're into the colder air more at Manistee. So you might see it closer to the ice storm warning, although I think most of the ice storm warning area is for the northern part of the county than it is for the south. Let's see if I see any other questions here. Any school closings yet? Well, we've been watching one of the news sites here. They both have them, but we're seeing along the M55 corridor. So that's basically Manistee, Cadillac, Houghton Lake to Tawas City, that they're already starting to close schools for tomorrow. That we're not into the business of closing schools, so you'll have to check with a lot of the media people to find out what schools have reported that they're closing. Lewiston area, you're kind of like us with Gaylord, with freezing rain and sleet, and maybe a little bit of snow. We'll see. And that's one thing. These types of situations, because of the trying to figure out where the warm air aloft is and how much there is and how much cold air there is, this could change. We could see the snow, possibly if it's able to keep the warm air out of the area enough that the snow comes farther south. We could see a really concentrated area of snow and sleet somewhere within this range. You have to kind of think of all these areas as ranges. So to put anything, any one hard number is really difficult in these types of very dynamic situations. Antrim County, you're just like with Gaylord, as well as where we're sleet and freezing rain, maybe a little bit of snow. Like I said, the closer you are to Petoskey and Rogers City and you go north, you're going to be more into the snow. The farther south you go, the more you start trending into the freezing rain. Grayling and Roscommon, you guys are solidly in the ice storm warning, so that is the thing to watch out for. You could get over a quarter inch of ice accumulating. Whether we get a quarter inch on power lines is another question, but it is possible. However, you put any ice on there over 1/10 of an inch and it starts weighing on those things. And with some wind, like I said, gusts to 30 miles an hour, you could have some tree branches coming down, as well as power outages due to that. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. Vanderbilt's just like here in Gaylord, although you're closer to the snow area since you're farther north than we are. Elk Rapids, you're kind of like Mansalona and areas and Bel Air in Antrim County there with, you're not in the ice storm warning. You're probably going to get a mix of sleet and freezing rain. It's still going to be impactful. So, people are just going to know it could end up being just bad no matter what you end up seeing out of this. Except the farther north you go, you get into the snow. Boyne City's the same way. You're up closer to Petoskey, so you'll probably be more towards the snow area. Scott, with Waters, you're on the southern end of Otsego County, so that's probably closer to being something like you're right on the edge of the ice storm warning. So so it's going to be a combination of sleet and freezing rain in there. Now, a lot of these counties and places that people are asking, I've covered a lot of these. If you look at the map and you think about the advisory that we have out, sleet and freezing rain is in that light blue sort of this kind of blue area. The purple is the ice storm warning, and that's where the freezing rain is expected. And so these are the areas to be impacted. And then as you get farther north, it's mostly snow. Oscoda, yep, you're right in the middle of the freezing rain area. Lake City, freezing rain. Elk Rapids, like I already said that, but that's the freezing rain and sleet area. There is some track uncertainty to an extent, but not anything. They're kind of holding it together with what's going on. I'm not sure where M88 is in northern Michigan. Mount Pleasant. That's down in the Grand Rapids forecast area. I see that Isabella County is in the purple, or the blue, I should say. So they've got an winter weather advisory, probably for freezing rain and rain, a mix down there. Maybe a little sleet, but most likely it's freezing rain and rain. So that's what's going on there. Lake Ann, well, you guys that's Grand Traverse County, you're in the purple. That's the ice storm warning. Harrison, that's Clare County, which is in Grand Rapids forecast area, and they have you in the blue up next to Gladwin. Tawas is in the purple with the ice storm warning. So it's kind of what it is. I'm seeing a lot of repeat questions from what we have. Yeah. So there's just be on the lookout for these things as we keep going. I finally got caught down to the bottom here. Okay, so I thank everyone for it. We got to get back to the new computer model runs. They come out at least twice a day, some of them 4 times a day. The new ones are just starting to come in, so we'll be evaluating that so that overnight myself and another forecaster will be writing the new forecasts up, which we will issue sometime around 3 or 4 in the morning, and we'll get new graphics out with everything kind of updated with what's going on. We may not, probably won't do another live like this, but we, we're trying to get keep people informed, especially since the last one that we did earlier today, we still had the winter weather watch, the winter storm watch going on, and now we've actually got warnings out and advisories. So just keep all that in mind. And with that, I am going to say thanks, everybody, and we will stay safe, and we'll talk to you again.